Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the Millennial Mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 118th episode, 2.5 years on the air and still going very strong. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now streaming 24/7 on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV. You can always find us on our YouTube channel, of course. Sundays we upload at 2 p.m. We have such a great show lined up for you today. Very, very exciting stuff. In our Healthy Minutes segment brought to you by Bice Cucina right here in Midtown Manhattan, we are featuring iHeart's very own on-air personality, Lala Gonzalez from the Luluylala show, airing 7 p.m. to midnight on 103.5's KTU. Today, she's joined by returning guest, Dr. David Rankin of davidrankinmd.com. He is the #1 breast explant expert in the U.S. and the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. Today, we're chatting breast implant illness, that's BII, Lala's explant journey with the good doctor, and the warning signs and symptoms your breasts are secretly revealing. In our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com, today we're featuring breast cancer previvor Stephanie Germino, an influencer and AFC advocate, medically known as aesthetic flat closure. AFC is a procedure involving the reconstruction of a flat chest. This 29-year-old mama from Florida underwent a double mastectomy when she was told there was a mutation in her BRCA1 gene. Now she joins me to chat breast cancer awareness, aesthetic flat closure, double mastectomies, and BRCA gene mutations. In our influencer segment brought to you by, you guessed it, doubleheader, Bice Cucina right here in Midtown Manhattan. Live from iHeart headquarters, we are featuring Blaise French, an actor, influencer, and entrepreneur with over 3.5 million followers and counting. Today, he's joined by VIP Peter G of NYC. Peter is managing partner at Bice Cucina Restaurant Group, founder of Tipsy Girl Wines, and owner of Bice Cucina in Midtown Manhattan. Quite the celebrity himself. They join me today to chat all about the power of branding and marketing, how social media has changed the marketing approach, and how celebrities can surely make or break a brand. Stay tuned for iHeart's very own on-air personality, Lala Gonzalez from the Luluylala show, joined by returning guest Dr. David Rankin of David Rankin MD. We're chatting breast implant illness, her explant journey with the good doctor. You definitely don't want to miss this interview. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Healthy Minutes segment brought to you by Bice Cucina, we're featuring our iHeart's very own on-air personality, Lala Gonzalez from the Luluylala show, airing 7 p.m. to midnight every single day, Monday to Friday on 103.5's KTU. Today, she's joined by our returning guest, Dr. David Rankin of davidrankinmd.com, #1 breast explant expert in the United States and the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, Dr. Rankin has been in practice for over 20 years. He has become very well known in the breast implant illness community That's BII. You can see that trending on social media. And Dr. Rankin stopped implanting women, very important to note, and solely focuses on explant procedures. Now, BII is a condition that isn't very well understood, but can be extremely debilitating. Breast implant illness refers to a wide range of symptoms that develop in some people who have reconstruction or cosmetic enlargement with breast implants. Now, BII isn't an official medical diagnosis because it's still not well understood. But some experts believe that breast implant illness symptoms may be caused by an autoimmune or inflammatory reaction to the implants. Now, the symptoms vary from person to person, of course, and can include fatigue, joint pain, memory and concentration problems, rashes, and so much more. Today, we're chatting breast implant illness, Lala's explant journey with the good doctor, and the warning signs and symptoms your breasts are secretly revealing. Welcoming now to the show are my dear friends at hand, Lala and Dr. David Rankin. Welcome.
Thank you
Hey,
for
Zan,
having
thanks
me.
for having me.
Excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining. Lala, let's start with you. So after experiencing many autoimmune-like symptoms associated with BII, and of course it included joint pain, fatigue, brain fog, you said rashes.
Yep.
That's just to name a few of your symptoms. You had your implants removed and are now what they call a quote-unquote explant. How did you have, how long did you have your implants for? What type did you have? And when did your symptoms first arise after the breast augmentation?
Yes, so I had silicone implants, and I only had them for 3 years. And I started noticing symptoms actually maybe that same year I got them. It was actually a nightmare. I should have never gotten them to begin with, but I did start experiencing brain fog. Like, I'm Lala, and everyone always says, oh, you're in Lala Land, but this was like to an extreme. I think the first thing that I noticed were heart palpitations, but I kind of ignored them because I felt like it was more stress related. And so I kind of just put that in the back burner. Migraines, something that I never really had, started, consistently happening more and more every day to the point where I felt my head was going to explode. Then I started developing this weird rash all over my neck, especially in my eyes. I couldn't even put makeup on because it would look bad. And so I noticed something's not right. I became very irritable, and it's not like me. I'm always happy-go-lucky. And for me to have kind of switched and shifted attitudes to the point where I'm always kind of like angry or just not happy, I knew something was wrong.
Your body was definitely speaking to you, and you are the best judgment of when something is not right or wrong. It's
not to mention that my breast implants became very encapsulated.
Ooh,
to the point where they hurt to even have a bra.
That hurts. That hurts. That's a huge topic of discussion with breast implants in general. Now, Dr. Rankin, BII can affect people with any type of breast implant. We know this very well, including silicone gel-filled, saline-filled, smooth surface, textured surface, round or teardrop shaped. Okay, but breast implant illness specifically can develop whether implants have ruptured or stayed intact. We know this as a fact. But are there any types of breast implants that are associated with a higher risk of BII?
Well, in my practice, I take out every type of implant, smooth, round, textured, silicone, saline. So they all can lead to the development of symptoms we call breast implant illness. I would say there's a little bit more of a propensity for the silicone gel implants to produce this, but we see it with all different types.
And it's important to note, I'm going to piggyback off what you just said, that BII is not the same as the rare types of cancer that can develop in the scar tissue and fluid surrounding a breast implant, such as implant-associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma or other forms of lymphoma and breast implant-associated squamous cell carcinoma. But it's extremely worthy to point out that BII can actually aggravate cells that are predisposed to these cancers. So it's all part and parcel and part of the bigger picture. Now, Lala, you recently explanted with the amazing Dr. Rankin. How did you and Dr. Rankin go about your specific diagnosis, and how long after explanting did your symptoms take to reverse?
Yes, I remember the day that I walked into his office and he he saw my boobies, the first thing he told me was that they were extremely capsulated and that I needed to get rid of them. And what I love most about him is how compassionate he was, but how direct he was. He didn't try and sugarcoat anything. He laid out the facts just as he saw them, and I can appreciate that. But he told me that I needed to remove them, and that he actually told me that the left one would probably be the biggest problem because it was bigger and it was harder than the right one. And so he gave me the options. And, at first when you hear this, you are taken back. I know I remember crying, but I was actually crying of like relief. At least I have an answer. I know it's not me, it's the implants. So I can appreciate his honesty and, how he came about to like telling me I need to get rid of them. And this is something that has to get done.
Well, I'm glad you ended up in the right hands. And it's important to note that he's so VIP that he has a 3-year waiting list. Now, I have conducted over, I want to say, 24 interviews on BII with actual breast implant illness patients and survivors. And they have stated that their symptoms can really appear any time after implant surgery. Some said that they started to develop breast implant illness immediately, while others said that it took them years. But interestingly, a lot of the symptoms of BII are associated with autoimmune and connective tissue disorders. And I said this before, but lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma, and all of these autoimmune and connective tissue disorders that are part of a bigger picture. It's your body actually speaking to you. This doesn't happen because it, out of nowhere. This is your body trying to communicate. So it's important to understand those symptoms and to address them. Now, Dr. Rankin, what are the current diagnostic criteria for BII and how is it actually diagnosed?
BII is really a diagnosis of exclusion. We're still trying to elucidate all the symptoms present, but we see a multitude. If you look currently at the FDA's website, they have a page on breast implant illness where they list the most common symptoms like joint pain, brain fog, skin issues, anxiety. But in my practice, I see literally A through Z in the symptoms that are presenting in my patients.
Well, those numbers and those statistics are staggering and definitely have to be addressed because factually, more than 365,000 women receive breast implants per year. That was a statistic from 2021 and 2022, and that's a 44% increase from the year before. And this means that breast augmentation remains as one of the most common and popular plastic surgery procedures performed in the U.S., and they're saying it has a low risk of complications, right? So these segments, Lala's story, Danica Patrick's story, Black China's story, it's important to tell these stories because you have to spread awareness. Lala, when you suspected you had BII, did you ever second guess yourself? And if you did, which I'm sure you did, thinking you're going crazy, what steps did you take to seek the right diagnosis and, of course, treatment, which we know is explanting, but what were those steps?
Yeah, so at first I didn't want to believe it. I kind of was looking for other excuses to like, no, this can't be it. It's not me. Like, I'm not one of those. And obviously it was all driven for fear, the fear of unknown, the fear of like, well, if it is the implants and I have to take them out, what am I going to look like? What is my body going to go through? Will I be able to breastfeed the day that I have children? All these, and then also, what am I going to look like? As women, yes, we do worry about what we're going to look like. We do worry about our significant others. Are they going to get turned off? All these things that ran through my head that finally I came to a conclusion. Well, what matters most? What I look like or what I feel like, and health really is the main thing here. If you're not healthy, then you don't really have anything. So healthy is sexy. And I realized, okay, it's definitely my implants. I got to do research. And that's when my cousin and I started looking for doctors. We started looking at different women's videos and Instagram posts and Facebook and all these things. And that's when we're like, okay, we have to do this and we're going to do this together. And that's why we love Dr. Rankin. Every story that we read happened to be a patient of Dr. Rankin's, his staff, amazing. And so we knew it was a no-brainer. I had to do this, and it had to be with Dr. Rankin.
Well, healthy is sexy. We're going to coin that. I love that you said that because it's the actual truth. And as women, as trailblazers like yourself that are going out there and paving the way and leaving a path where there really is no trail, because breast implant illness is not a common thing and people don't even know about it. So standing up to the big pharmaceutical giants and taking a stance is extremely, extremely exemplary of you. So you are a trailblazer doing what you do. Thank you, Lala. Now, Dr. Rankin, although research is underway to figure out the exact cause of BII, it's not currently an official diagnosis per se. BII is a cluster of symptoms that don't fit into any other classic disease diagnosis. Eventually, I'm hoping that it's going to be recognized as a medical condition, but that process, as we know, is going to take a lot of time. And in the meantime, insurance companies, they don't really necessarily cover the explant costs. And as I said before, women don't implant to explant. It's just not a thing. So what steps does the medical community need to take to push insurance carriers to cover the explant surgeries?
Well, I think it's true what you said, that women that get implants, they don't anticipate having to remove them because they're making them feel poorly. So it's certainly not a purely cosmetic procedure. I think it all starts with advocacy from patients, advocacy from other specialists like rheumatologists, primary care doctors, to let the insurance companies know this is something real. There should be advocacy at the level of our Congress people who have the power to dictate or to discuss with the insurance companies that this is a real diagnosis and these women need to be heard.
Without a doubt, we definitely should be taking this to Congress, and that's probably my next step, because that's what needs to be addressed, and especially with the insurance carriers and the FDA, because they are complicit in all of this. Let's make no mistake. Now, Lala, after explanting, did you choose to reconstruct, and what did that entail?
I chose to have a lift. Dr. Rankin suggested that I would need one, so I trusted his opinion and went with it. I was a little bit scared as to what the scar would look like, but I'm pleased to say that I barely even have a scar. Like, I've healed very well, and at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not going to be walking around topless. So
you look sexy AF.
It's perfectly fine. I do want to point out that explanting is not a trend. I've heard that numerous times, and it really irks me, and it actually makes me very sad, because women who have had to explant, they don't do it just, one bright morning I woke up and I decided I want to get rid of them. It's because their health is not right. You know, like, who wants to spend an extra amount of money to take them out after putting them in? It's health-wise, something's not right, and obviously they need to do this. So for that word, the trend, like if you're going to get a new haircut or, do something like that, that really bothers me, because I feel like it undermines what these women are going through.
100%, without a doubt. No one implants to explant.
Yes.
And we've talked about this over and over again. And it's the medical community itself that's complicit in all of this, including the FDA, because we know what backs that. And it's called Big Pharma, and it has a lot of funds and money available. So why would they denounce this? This is sexy. This has to be a thing.
Yeah.
But thank you for standing up. Now, Dr. Rankin, what advice do you have for a woman wanting to explant but fearing the reconstruction step?
Well, I think, like anything in life, experience is key. So you should go to a doctor that's, first of all, board certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery, but a doctor that has a lot of expertise in explanting, does a lot of explants in their practice, believes in BII as a diagnosis in women. So I think, again, going to someone very experienced in this, because it's not a generally easy procedure.
Definitely not an easy procedure. Definitely need to go to somebody experienced, but I'm going to give all our audience some food for thought. If the doctor that you are explanting with is currently implanting and currently doing breast augmentations, that should be a red flag. Ethically, that should be something that you do not stand by. You can't have the cake and eat it too. So the fact that you, Dr. Rankin, chose to stop implanting and really focus solely on explanting speaks volumes. And again, a gentle strength is stronger, and you have done that. So thank you so much for the women that are out there suffering that you are paving the way for. Now, Lala, what advice do you have to women out there thinking they are crazy and that their symptoms are psychosomatic?
Yeah, my advice to the women out there, you're not crazy. Something is going on. Pay attention to your body. Your body is trying to tell you something. So listen to it. Do not feel ashamed. It's perfectly fine to kind of feel like, oh man, what did I do to myself? Why did I ever get these implants? Because I went through those emotions and I've lived through it and I've gone through it. So that's perfectly fine. You're human, you live and you learn. But if your body is not right, it's probably the implants. Take them out. Don't second guess it and go for it. You're only going to feel better.
You're only going to feel better. Well, there you have it, my dear friends. Lala, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Rankin, thank you so much for piping in. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Lala,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can't wait to re-promote this segment and make sure that the voices are heard. Now, listen, guys, the debate regarding the possibility of breast implants has been present actually factually since 1960s. There's a theory that stemmed from an author's concept of human adjuvant disease, and it refers to human exposure to a foreign object that causes autoimmune or rheumatic diseases, right? And the theory was gradually introduced to the public during the 1980s, and later it gained the attention of the FDA, which in part led to the removal of silicone implants from the market in 1992. So that's very interesting. You guys should research that. We're all about edutainment here at WOR. Thank you so much for piping in. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much to all of you listening. That was our Healthy Minutes segment brought to you by Bice Cucina. That was iHeart's very own on-air personality, Lala Gonzalez. You definitely have to check her out. She airs every single night, Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. to midnight on 103.5's KTU. That was the awesome Dr. David Rankin. You could head directly to their website at David Rankin MD. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Coming up in our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com, today we're featuring breast cancer previvor Stephanie Germino, an influencer and an AFC advocate, medically known as aesthetic flat closure. It's a procedure involving the reconstruction of a flat chest. Extra skin, fat, and tissue in the breasts are removed, and the remaining tissue is tightened and smoothed so that the chest wall appears flat. This 29-year-old mama from Florida underwent a double mastectomy when she was told that there was a mutation in her BRCA1 gene, which meant that she had an 87% risk of developing breast cancer. Normally, the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes protect women from getting certain cancers, but some mutations in those genes prevent them from working properly, so that if you inherit one of these mutations, you're more likely to get breast, ovarian, and other cancers. Now, in a bid to avoid getting the deadly illness, she made the brave decision to undergo a double mastectomy where both breasts were removed, and she refused a reconstruction. She now boasts more than 1.5 million followers on TikTok. She's dubbed as the Boobless Babe and uses social media to share her story, raise awareness of the procedure, and detail her newfound freedom. Today, she joins me to chat breast cancer awareness, aesthetic flat closure, double mastectomies, and BRCA gene mutations. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Stephanie Germino. Welcome, superstar.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you're joining me today. I was floating through Instagram, as you know, we all are, and I came across your profile and I'm like, who is this fierce, incredible soul that I need to feature on my show? So thank you so much for accepting.
Of course, I'm very excited about this. That was such a great intro. I don't think I could have done a better one myself.
Okay, let's get to it. So let's dive right in. You're a mom. You have a beautiful 6-year-old boy, Josiah. You claim you knew from the age of 15 that you were a potential carrier of the mutation due to both your mom and grandmother having the same gene. Talk to me about basically living with the notion that you might end up with breast cancer since you're 15 years old and knowing this.
Yeah, it's overwhelming to say the least. I also think that I was a little bit ignorant to the fact, my family, we really didn't talk about it too much, and or it was kind of like a very sugar-coated topic. I knew that my grandmother, my mom's mom, had gotten breast cancer due to having this gene. And then I saw my mom going through preventative surgeries like her double mastectomy and her hysterectomy at a young age, for me at least. And so she just had told me that I had a 50% chance of having this mutation, which just meant that later on down the road, I would probably have to do a test to see, but it's not something I should worry about now. And I really didn't worry about it too much. I just kind of put it in the back of my mind, lived life. I thought that it was nothing. And I just thought, very immature thoughts like, oh, well, at least I'll get free implants from that. And now I know that's one of the worst things you could say to somebody who has this mutation or who has to go through a double mastectomy. But again, I was really young and silly. And so it wasn't until I got a little bit older and I started experiencing fibroids in my breast when I got my periods and cysts in my armpits that it started kind of like being overbearing in my mind. And I was like, okay, I'm now 27. I think I should probably get that test done to figure out if I'm positive or not and find out what my next options are.
Wow. So, okay. Now, each year, I know that in the United States, about 270,000 cases of breast cancer are diagnosed in women, and about, oddly enough, 2,400 in men. And we have about 42,000 women and 500 men in the US die each year from breast cancer. Now, when you were told there was a mutation in your BRCA1 gene, which meant you had an 87% risk of developing breast cancer, did you consider any other alternatives before choosing to prophylactically have a double mastectomy?
So there are other options to it. I have had family members, like I said, it's riddled. It riddles my family, the BRCA mutations. Literally, so many of my family members have it, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, and things like that. And we all take our different routes with it. Now, the older generation, they have done their preventative surgery. Whereas for my generation, me and my cousin, for example, she did do the hormone replacement and like monitoring. And for me, I just have had too many. I don't want to say symptoms because there are no symptoms for BRCA mutation, but I've had too many things. Like I said, the cyst in my armpit, and then fibroids, and then not really knowing if it's just a cyst or is this something that's starting out. I know you can do the hormones and the increased screenings and things of that nature, but for my state of mind and my, mental health, I just thought I don't need them anymore. I breastfed my son for 2 years. They did their job and they're not what defined me. So might as well just show them the door.
Well, you made the right choice for you. And of course, prophylactic mastectomy can lower breast cancer risk by
Yeah.
90% or more. But of course, let's point out that it doesn't guarantee that you will not get breast cancer. And of course, this is because it's not possible to remove all breast cells, even with a mastectomy. The breast cells that are left behind might still go on to become cancer, but you basically eliminated a huge portion of that risk. And to your point, once you breastfed your little boy, d- you don't need them anymore. You're good. You're good to go. So I think they served their purpose while they were here, and you are making such a splash in the world of prevention by telling your story and by really advocating and spreading the word and really demystifying the stigmas around the double mastectomies and what they really mean, to a woman's womanhood per se. Now, did you have any physical and emotional challenges that arose after the surgery?
It's funny because I know this isn't everybody's journey or this isn't everybody's experience, but no, absolutely not. The only thing that I felt emotional about is because once I set my mind on being flat, because like I said, I wasn't planning on being flat the entire time I knew about this. Once I finally set my mind on being flat, I had so much pushback about me going flat. So many people try to tell me that I was wrong and that I would regret it. And so I had to really advocate for myself. Even my surgeon at the time was like giving me a lot of pushback, saying that I would regret going flat and that I should at least get something done. And so this was before actually going to surgery. So I was afraid that I was going to, my wishes were not going to be respected. And so when I woke up from surgery, the first thing I did was look down at my chest. I asked the nurse to help me open my binder so that I could see what was left on my chest. And I did bawl my eyes out because it looked like I had, breasts left on my chest from a lot of swelling. And then 6 months later, finding out that he had left extra skin, which is called a dog ear. Whether that was intentional or just lack of know-how on how to perform an aesthetic flat closure. But that is the only emotion that I had, was that I wasn't.
You wanted to make sure you were flat, and it didn't look flat when you came out. I could
Yes.
totally, yeah, I could totally see that. Well, they didn't know who they were dealing with. Now, your mom also got a preventative double mastectomy. You said in her 40s, and she had breast reconstruction afterwards. But for you, you underwent the procedure in October of 2021 at Tampa General Hospital in Florida, and so you're saying you opted against reconstruction. But I want to know what factors shaped that extreme decision. Like, what in your mind, what did you think in your mind would not work out if you did in fact reconstruct safely, or you just thought that that was not even something that you can fathom the idea of seeing yourself doing?
Right. No. So I say that there are three main reasons why I chose not to reconstruct. The first one is breast implant illness. It's not talked about enough. A lot of people try to, discredit the validity of it. I've known too many people who've gotten explanted because they've experienced some unknown issues that nobody can explain, yet suddenly, miraculously, once they gotten their implants explanted, it all goes away. And I know that doesn't happen to everybody. And, there are many people with implants who live a long, healthy life. I didn't want to take the risk. The second issue was, not everybody again, but most people with implants, you have to get your implants maintained every so often. Capsular contractures are a thing, risks of certain cancers with certain implants are a thing. Implants get recalled almost every day. Those were the risks of medically. Then there were the aesthetic look. And when you get implants regularly, they use their breast tissue to soften them up, to make them look more soft and natural, or however you want them to appear. Well, when I get a double mastectomy, all my breast tissue is gone. And so those implants aren't going to have any breast tissue to kind of soften them up. And this is not to make anybody who have them after double mastectomy feel some type of way. But I've seen enough that it's like, for my body, that's not what I want aesthetically. Kind of just looks like skin pulled over two balls. And I was just like, you know what? I don't need boobs if I'm not going to be 100% happy with how they're going to look. No matter if it's a DIEP flap or any other kind of fat transfer tissue mold procedure, it just sounded way more satisfying to be flat to me.
Well, I think you thought it through. It's a makes sense to me the way that you went about your decision, and if it's working for you, then you made the right decision, and only you could know that for yourself. Now, hey, let's chat hateful comments. So you've been told you're definitely a man. Where did your milkers go? People even went so far as sending you to hell. And no guy will want you now that you've mutilated yourself. This generation is effed up. No one wants to see this. I mean, I read some of these crazy comments, and I was like, are these people lost their mind? What do you say to these haters, and what advice would you give to someone looking to have a preventative double mastectomy?
So the funny thing is, and yes, you have pretty much covered the basis of all of the hateful comments that I get. A lot of it, though, and actually all of it, you have to understand that people who are genuinely happy with their life, with themselves, would not take the time out of their day to go on some random person's social media and spew hate. It's funny because people who say they don't want to see it, the more you engage, the more you comment, the more you're going to see it. People say that I'm doing this for attention. Absolutely, I'm doing this for attention because not enough people know that aesthetic flat closures are an option after a double mastectomy. I didn't know that initially. So yes, I want the attention for aesthetic flat closures, for BRCA. I want to raise that awareness. And obviously you see the comments that say, oh, you're definitely a man. That's just coming out of transphobia. And again, people automatically assume a woman without boobs who looks like this is going through transitional surgery. And that's not the case. I want people to be aware, to be compassionate, or just to, have the education that, okay, top surgery is a thing, but so is a double mastectomy. And there are big differences between the two. I honestly, my biggest advice to people who are going to go through what I'm going through is that, yes, there are going to be hateful people with any point of your life that you're sharing with the internet, with society, but you can't necessarily fault them, in the sense of like just ignorance and hate. It's just because they're so miserable, they're so unhappy with themselves that when they see somebody who looks like me, a strong woman who literally got what society standards are, consider a woman taken away from her, you would think, oh, she should be down in the dirt and she can't be as confident, or, let's try to bring her down a peg. And that's not what's going to happen here. I'm going to show everybody I'm still beautiful. I am still a woman. This is how I identify. And I want to share this with everybody. And there's nothing anybody can say that can stop me. And I just feel bad for the people. And I kind of engage with them and egg them on. But that's, again, pushing my awareness, pushing my reach, and pushing my engagement. So thank you to all the haters and trolls.
You are amazing. Now you have millions of followers. How has obviously social media has influenced your voice a great deal? How'd you get all these followers?
Oh my goodness. People love the abnormal on social media. I will say I started doing my journey and journaling using social media right when I found out that I was BRCA positive, and I really didn't get too much traction. And it wasn't until I did my first topless video on TikTok that it just blew up overnight. So when I went in to go get my revision done, I wanted to showcase, the extra skin that was left on my body. And it was a very jarring experience, even though it was just me and my phone. And right away, once I posted it, just giving an update on like, okay, here's my dog ear. I'm going to get it, removed. In that night, I gained like 20,000 followers.
Oh my goodness. This is crazy. It's crazy. So, and of course, the BRCA gene is nothing to mess with. I mean, you have it. It's something that was the catalyst to all of, the decisions that have led you to where you are today. And in my captions, I always call it the BRCA1 gene because it won't pick it up in the captions. If I call it BRCA, it'll just say boat. So I have to actually say it out loud. Now, thank you so much for coming on. You are fantastic. I'd love for you to come on again and really continue spreading awareness. We'll invite you to come back almost regularly at this point because you're just so good at being transparent and spreading the word. We have Dr. David Rankin on as well, talking about breast implant illness with our other host here at iHeart, Lala Gonzalez from 103.5. So this is a great lineup. But thank you so much for coming on. You are amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Guys, if you're concerned about your breast cancer risk, talk to your healthcare provider. They can help you estimate your risk based on your age, family history, and of course, other factors. If you are at an increased risk, you might consider taking medicines that can help lower your risk, or in Stephanie's case, a double mastectomy. Your healthcare provider might also suggest you have more intensive screening for breast cancer, which might include starting screening at a younger age or having other tests in addition to mammography. That was our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com. That was the incredible Stephanie Germino. She is a video creator, previvor of the BRCA1 gene, and AFC advocate. You can check her out on the gram at the Boobless Babe, and the has two E's in it. THEE Boobless Babe. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our influencer segment, brought to you by Bice Cucina, live from iHeart headquarters right here in Midtown Manhattan, we're featuring my dear friend, Bice French. He's an actor, an influencer, an entrepreneur with over 3.5 million followers and counting. He's also the former marketing manager for Body Armor sports drink. Now, Bice scored big with its Coca-Cola buyout for $5.6 billion, proving he has an amazing track record in branding. He's partnered with brands such as Milk Bar, Target, Banana Republic, Stance, True Religion, Fashion Nova Men. You all know Fashion Nova Men, and that's just to name a few. Today, he's joined by VIP Peter G. Peter Guimaraes of New York City. Peter is managing partner at Bice Cucina Restaurant Group. He's founder of Tipsy Girl Wines and owner of Bice Cucina Restaurant right here in Manhattan. Quite the celebrity himself, in fact. Bice Cucina is always, and I mean always, swarming with famous people. From Mark and Donnie Wahlberg to 50 Cent, from Rod Stewart to Bruce Springsteen to the housewives of New York City, they all head to Peter's for a fun and relaxing night out. I'm there almost daily. Now, when considering all the elements of your business brand, there are many, and I mean many avenues to explore. Brand image, logo, design, brand marketing, and brand influence. That's just to get started. Now, powerful brands are definitely more likely to be chosen by consumers through the loyalty and recognition of their name. And this is why brand power can be a lot more important than brand power and product. When you think of where the stance is, it really is more important to be able to associate with the power of the brand than the product of the brand. And this is extremely important, and why focusing on building a recognized brand is truly the key to success. They're going to join me today to chat all about the power of branding and marketing, how social media has changed the marketing approach, and how celebrities can surely make or break a brand. Welcoming now to the show are my awesome friends, Peter and Blaise. Welcome, superstars.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Yeah, you got us. Nice to see you again. It's been like, what, 9 hours?
Literally 9 hours.
Never get tired of seeing her.
I see Peter daily. Well, he's downstairs from iHeart headquarters here on 55th Street, and I mean, that's our go-to place for almost every meal. Congratulations on all your success, both of you, and thank you for coming back on. Blaise, let's get started with you.
Yes.
So let's chat brand power, which is essentially the ultimate sway your business will have in its chosen market. And this involves thinking about how your business can create a product or service worth having and the power your business has to make that product worth much more than competitors in a crowded market. What is your advice here?
I mean, coming from the beverage industry, Gatorade was a huge competition for us, and their product was 50 years old. It had artificial sugars and coloring in there, but the power of the brand was so strong that they had the market on lock. So, you know, creating Body Armor and trying to fight against those guys that had a 50-year head start was really tough, but educating consumers, being in their faces, doing influencer marketing, you know, radio campaigns. There's so many things that you have to do to establish your brand and create that marketing power. But it's really tough, and it's super key to have the power of marketing and branding. So
well, you seem to have it down to a equation, a perfect equation, because you always come out winning. And whether it's the financial sector, industry, to restaurants and fashion brands, appeasing your customer is key. And what we know is that the power of social media and a strong online presence is critical to building brand trust and loyalty. Consumers need and crave connectivity, and connectivity breeds community, and community breeds loyalty, and loyal customers, well, they feed the bank account. It's all intertwined. Peter, you are a very successful entrepreneur. You have a very successful business, Bice Cucina franchise, and a liquor brand called Tipsy Girl Wine. What is your secret to building customer loyalty, and what kind of creative collaborations with celebrities can you share that have truly benefited your brands?
Well, first, thanks for having me. You know, it's a crapshoot sometimes. You know, you get a lot of luck, and I think over my experience, it's been timing. You know, timing is the best thing that could happen to you. You know, when I started Tipsy Girl, there was a market for it. There was a need for it. I was on the Housewife show. So, you know, I had 4.2 million people watching me every Wednesday. And of course, I was pushing Tipsy Girl. So having the right platform, having timing. And I'll tell you something one of my oldest partners told me one day. And he said, Peter, if I had to pick between being smart and lucky, I would pick lucky every time, because there's a lot of smoke people out there, broke people out there. So I think it takes a little bit of everything. And then obviously, you know, we're in a media world today where everybody likes influencers, right? You got kids that are 15 years old making a couple of $100 million a year. When I was 15 years old, I had a bike route where I'd collect $7 a week. So, you know, it's a different era today. So if you get an influencer who has a lot of media power, it's going to help push your brand to the next level. But you also have to have the right product. You know, you can push your brand to the next level. By the time 10 million people get to try it or taste it, you could lose it within 6 months.
There you go.
And, you know, these brands, these people are not forgiven. They're not going to forgive you if the brand
No.
sucks.
That's true. Oh, well, listen, to your point, but you have celebrities around you all the time, and it's more about them surrounding and swarming your restaurant, which gives your restaurant brand recognition for the product that you're selling, which is amazing food, and you're also selling the experience and the atmosphere with not just top quality shelf liquor, but also top quality food and produce. So you do go the extra mile to follow suit with keeping your customers loyal. Now, Blaze, what role do celebrities play in brand building, and how can their endorsement impact a brand's perception among consumers?
Yeah, I would say celebrities have a huge role in building up that brand's presence. They have their following already. They actually have a cult following where no matter what they're selling or doing, their consumers will love it anyway. And, Peter said, you got to have a good product. And I do believe you definitely have to have a good product. But I've seen happy products being endorsed by high-level celebrities that have done well just because of their cult-like following. So it is important to have the who's behind your brand. And then when you have a great product like Peter's, and you have both of them at the same time, that's when you get a win.
Yeah, because legitimately, the brands that he stands behind, whether it's Bice Cucina or Tipsy Girl Wine, I mean, these are incredible brands because their quality is there, and you don't forget when you've had a glass of Tipsy Girl because you're going to get tipsy at 14% alcohol. Now, could you share some examples of brands that have effectively leveraged celebrities to build their brand image or increase brand awareness, Blaze?
There is one brand that comes into mind where I just left them. Aloe is a clothing brand. It started as a yoga company. They have leveraged their celebrity powers from working with the Kardashians and all the top models around the world. And it's more than a cult-like following now. And they're doing super well. They have an exclusive gym that only influencers could go into. So, regular consumers try to get a workout in and they can't. So the only thing that they could do that their celebrity friend that they see is doing is just buy the clothes. So, big shout out to Aloe.
Big shout out to Aloe.
Definitely.
Now, Aloe sponsorship,
Yes.
calling to the
Absolutely.
sponsorship platform. Now, Peter, let's chat social media. The pandemic transformed social media from a way of communication to the way of communication. That means social selling is now like actual selling. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, they're not just about influence, they're about branding, marketing, and sales. In the age of social media, how has the landscape of branding changed in your business, and what opportunities does it present for you?
Well, Bice is a 1926 brand, right? There wasn't even TVs back then. My partners are older Italian partners, and when we started taking over, when I came into the business back on 54th Street, which was our number one location, I started getting a publicist. They didn't even know what a publicist was. It's like, what are we going to pay some girl to talk about us? We don't need her to talk about us. And we don't want anybody talking about us anyway. Don't share your business. Don't talk about anything, okay? So that was their mentality, right? Said, no, now it's social media. We got to post pictures. We have to do this. We have to do that. And then when I got launched on the Housewife show, and they saw me on there, they'd say, don't talk about the business. Just keep it quiet. Talk about yourself. Don't talk about the business. It's like, no, we're going to talk about the business. We're going to market it. We're going to promote it. And now it's all you do. We have people that contact us and they say, oh, if we come in and have a dinner for two, we'll post about it and we'll share and take pictures. And then you look at their profile and they have like 3,000 followers. They're like, I'm not going to do that. But then you got somebody like Blaze who has millions of flowers.
He has a lot of flowers, baby. Let me
you can
tell you.
I was up late last night. He has a lot of followers. That helps because people then want to come to the restaurant, and it's all about media. If you think about it, I today don't go out to dinner and eat until I take a picture of my plate. Yeah. And everybody in the restaurant now takes a picture of their plate. Yeah. When I have dinner in Palm Beach with my older Italian partners, they don't take pictures of their plate. And then they always ask me, why are you taking a picture of the plate? Yeah. You don't know what it looks like? I said, no, we're going to put it on social media. And people are going to like it. And they're going
But that raises the bar. That means that now you have to be so much more aware of not just the way your food tastes, but like visual presentation. And now you're back there with your cook saying, hey, listen, it's not just, putting food on a plate. It's preparing it, presenting it, doing the whole thing. So
there's a saying in the restaurant business, you eat with your eyes first.
Yep, exactly. Now, interesting, because top sellers really rely on social media in this quote-unquote all-out effort to grow a business. Why? Well, just like you likely buy online, over 25% of young Americans up to age 35 buy directly from social media channels and make their decisions based on those social trends. And this is the new normal. So for leaders and entertainers in business, the need to connect with peers and customers digitally has never been more imperative. Now, Blaise, are there any emerging trends or technologies that you believe will significantly impact the future of brand building? And what are some best practices for fostering these meaningful connections?
Like you said, with selling on social media, I think before it used to be just, doing marketing and taking pictures and creating awareness. I think selling straight from social media is definitely growing. And just to piggyback on what Peter said, growing up, I always watched the Italian mafia movies, and everything's always hush and quiet, right? And I always wanted to be the guy in the room with all the money that no one knows. And as we're in 2023, those days are kind of fleeting where you can't be quiet and be rich. So you have to, use marketing and use social media and take those pictures. So, I guess things are changing.
Things are changing. Peter, how important is it for your brand? When we talk about brand, we'll talk about Bice Cucina and Tipsy Girl, to engage with their audience. And what are some of your best practices for being able to engage and stay connected outside of just your restaurant?
So, I'm a true believer, like Blaise says, about social media. I wasn't back in the day, but you either have to grow or you're going to die, right? And getting back to what he said about, being in the room with the richest guy and nobody knows, there's a saying that I love. One of my favorite sayings is, act like you can't afford the bread until they find out that you own the bakery. So those days of being humble are kind of over because nobody wants a humble person anymore. People want to see the flash. People want to see you having a good time. People want to see what you're eating. People, especially if you're an influencer, not me, I'm not an influencer, but a celebrity, it goes a long way. When you see a celebrity at Bice Cucina and I post it, I automatically see my sales go up the next day or within a few days. When I do a cooking show on NBC, and I'm not trying to give a shout out to NBC, I love iHeart, okay? But when I do a cooking show, I notice my sales within 2-3 days spike. I notice if I cook salmon and linguine on the show, my salmon and linguine sell out for at least a couple of weeks. Yeah. So it's very important to stay on top of this marketing aspect of the business.
Yeah, without a doubt. Listen, the Scotto sisters, Rosanna Scotto and her sister, Elaine Fresco by Scott, Rosanna's on every single day, right? She's on media, she's out there, she's doing her thing, and yet she's coming on an interview on iHeartRadio to talk about, where things are at in terms of culinary experience in New York City and how the industry has evolved, because she knows that, look, iHeartRadio, you have to reach not just the television platforms, but you have to be able to reach audio. iHeart reaches 9 out of 10 Americans on an average daily level. So to all of your points, you have to leverage social media platforms, radio platforms, OTT, OTA, YouTube, you name it, because people want instant gratification. To Peter's point, everything that glitters is gold. They judge a book by its cover. We have to sell the experience, and they want it now on demand. So you have to just basically feed the monster. And that's what we're really doing with social media, is we're feeding the monster. Any closing thoughts, Peter?
Yeah, I'm going to go feed the monster. I don't know what Blaise is doing, but I'm definitely feeding the monster. I'm going to have a nice meal at Bice. I'm going to have a tall glass of Tipsy Girl wine. And the monster needs to be fed.
I'm coming to join you. Blaise, thank you so much for coming on.
Definitely. And I'm joining you guys too for lunch.
Let's do it. Peter, you're the best. Thank you for piping in today.
Thank you.
Guys, you definitely have to check out Bice Cucina. Now, listen, in conclusion, the power of celebrities and branding cannot be underestimated in today's competitive marketplace. Celebrities have the ability to captivate audiences, influence consumer perceptions, and elevate a brand's visibility. By associating with well-known figures, brands can tap into the emotional connections and aspirations that celebrities represent, the dream they're selling. Establishing a strong and relatable image is key. Furthermore, leveraging that social media platform allows brands to engage directly with their target audience, fostering authenticity, building trust, and really truly expanding their reach. The combined impact of celebrities and social media, That amplifies a brand's message. It drives brand awareness and ultimately contributes to long-term brand equity. So to stay ahead in the ever-evolving marketing landscape, harnessing the power of celebrities and leveraging social media is a potent strategy that can propel brands towards success without a doubt. That was our famous influencer segment brought to us by Bice Cucina. That was our returning guest, Peter Guimadas, managing partner at Bice Cucina Restaurant Group. Head to bicecucina.com. You can check him out on the gram at Peter G for NYC or at Bice Cucina Midtown. And a big shout out to our dear friend, Blaise French, directly to his website, Blaise with a double F, French.com, at Blaise French. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Nave, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Nave makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Nave, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Nave Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Nave guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Nave, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's nave, Nave.travel.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m., or you could go to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m., YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now available on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV streaming platform. You could head to mox.yourhometv.com. And remember, that's free programming to you. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.